Hi, Scary Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Dread from 2009. Beware of spoilers. The film begins with Quaid and Steven, who are two college students who do experiments about fear. This is their project, a study of fear, where they record people talking about their greatest fears and the worst times in their lives. But Quaid isn't exactly what he seems. He is a psychopath, and in his mind he desires to see the true face of fear. Hence, he decides to take the fear to the next level. When he was a child, he saw his parents murdered by a maniac with an axe. That is his biggest fear, and he wishes to learn other people's greatest fears and what they do to face them. He constantly seeks a way to overcome his own great fear, and through this project, means to achieve it. On the other hand, Steven lost his brother in a car accident when he was a teenager. He was driving drunk, and Steven couldn't stop thinking about what would have happened if he had driven instead. Would his brother still be alive? Quaid encourages Steven to face his fear by buying the same type of car his brother was driving when he died, and asks him to drive it. Steven does so, and somehow he feels whole. Later on, Quaid interviews Joshua and learns that his worst fear is to become deaf again. When he was a child, he had temporarily lost his hearing from an unknown accident. Quaid nods and devises of a plan to test Joshua. He visits him in his home to ask him more questions about his fear, but instead he knocks him out and restrains him with chains to a radiator. He loads a gun and fires it next to his ears, seriously damaging his eardrums, in which case he renders him deaf again. He unchains him and abandons him in a dark alley. Next is Abby, a student who assists Quaid and Steven with their project. Abby has a dark-coloured birthmark which covers half of her body and face. She is so afraid that people will make fun of her because of it, and so she doesn't let anyone see her body. But Quaid is in possession of a personal video of Abby being naked and puts it on every screen on campus so that everyone will see her body. He teases her by saying that she will never be normal. Abby feels humiliated by this, so she runs to her dorm room where she fills a bathtub with bleach, determined to remove the birthmarks. She rubs her skin with steel wool but gets injured. Steven finds her walking down the hall outside her room, naked and bleeding, and takes her to the hospital. He feels disgusted by Quaid's behaviour and decides to stop his evil game once and for all. He grabs a fire axe and goes after him. Joshua sees him leaving the hospital and, unaware of what has transpired, follows him in order to exact his revenge on both of them, as he deems they both work together. In the meantime, Cheryl, who is the editor of the project, is being held captive by Quaid in a room where a large piece of beef waits for her on a dish. Cheryl's worst fear is meat. As a child, she was abused by her father, who worked at a meatpacking factory, and every time he molested her, he reeked of meat, hence why she hates the smell of meat and can't eat it. But Quaid, knowing of this, has abducted her and locked her in a room with the beef, testing her limits. After a week in captivity, Cheryl finally gives in and eats all of the beef that has gone bad. Steven comes to Quaid and confronts him. He tells him to stop all this madness, but Quaid doesn't listen and hits him. Steven passes out and awakens shortly after. He is tied to a chair. Quaid talks to him and shows him a video of him torturing Cheryl. He knows Steven has a crush on her, and so he plays with him. He tells him that he let her go after she ate the meat, but Steven doesn't believe him. He calls him a liar, and Quaid smiles mockingly. A strange sound, however, draws his attention, and he leaves. Steven takes this opportunity and manages to break free. Furious about Quaid, he goes after him. He finds Joshua instead, who stabs him with the axe he had taken with him. All this time, Quaid remains hidden, watching them. After Joshua hits Steven, he comes out of the shadows and shoots Joshua in the head, killing him instantly. He then stands over Steven, watching him bleed to death from the axe wound. When he is sure that his friend is dead, he drags the body to the basement. There, he unlocks a door and is revealed that it is the same room where he was keeping Cheryl. The girl, however, is still in there, captive and starved. Quaid leaves Steven's body with her and tosses her a small knife, smirking.